Good morning, Devils fans, to yet another dub as we defeat the Minnesota Wild at home 4-3. And as it turns out, we can score the first goal of a game, even if we are the last team in the NHL to do it, and it took us 8 games to do so. We got that first goal, and that's what matters, right? Even if we did end up giving up the lead and had to have another come from behind victory to do so, we got the dub, we got the 2 points, and we didn't bleed one, even though, in overtime to a Western Conference team really is not a huge deal. But hey, it's a lot to be happy about in this one, but a few things to critique as well. So let's go ahead and dive into that. Said it there. We got the first goal of the game. Jesper Bratt. It was his game. He dominated. It wasn't the Jack Hughes show this time, even if he had a solid game. Not dominant, not great, but solid. Even though he didn't get on the scoreboard, he got the, I guess, what we're now dubbing the Danico assist, the tertiary assist there on a couple of plays. Still was dynamic running the play on the power play, but this one's not about Jack. This is Bratt Hughes, best player in the NHL. Shout out BP, as he was dominant. I mean, he had the hat trick that wasn't due to the called back goal with Bastian being, I mean, clearly offsides just in the live play. They didn't even have to go to the review board. That was very obviously offsides. Even though Bastian basically changed right afterwards, he had no effect on the play. But by the rule book, that's clear cut. No, they reviewed for 5 seconds and it was called back, as it should have been. But Bratt technically put the puck in the net 3 times. It was all, that one that was called back was off a great play by Holt, who again had a fairly solid game. Just going to touch on him here for a second before I get back to Bratt. Holt, I feel like, is dynamic in transition right now. He looks fantastic in the offensive zone, but there still is some defensive struggles there when he is hemmed into the zone on the ice. In transition, he actually seems to be pretty good in defense, but once it gets into that cycle game and he is running back and forth along the boards and to the blue line, not as solid of play, and I think that's kind of where Lindy is limiting his ice time from until he shores up the actual in-zone defense. Probably going to keep it on limited time there. Obviously, this was more of a fourth line demotion when he got put down with Bastian because now Mikey has been moved up. Who knows what his ice time looks like if Mikey is there, because Mikey has earned a lot of ice. So yeah, we'll see exactly how that continues to develop. If we get Nico back for this next game, hopefully we find out from a practice today if he will be traveling with the team or not. But yeah, Holtz on the whole was all right, has been getting better and better, but definitely some in zone defense that needs to be shored up. And I think that's why Lindy is limiting his ice, because when you get him in the offensive zone, he looks fantastic. On the whole, looks better than Mercer. That's just, outside of huge defensive blunders, which I'm going to get into as well. Mercer has struggled in the offensive zone, but is playing a lot better in the defensive zone. And that's what NHL coaches want. NHL coaches want surefire guys in the D zone. As long as you are if you make up for your defensive blunders on the offensive side, they'll still play you. Now Holtz is setting up stuff, but he's not lighting up the scoreboard by any means, but I think he's doing pretty well. I personally would play him up in the lineup more. I would be giving him more ice, even comparison to like a Mercer, who did get a ton of penalty killing ice in this one. But I'm rambling and getting away from it. Jesper Bratt show, fantastic. Dominated ice, every shift, penalty kill, 5-on-5, power play, all of it. Bratt is truly looking just phenomenal. I mean, having him and Jack, being able to play them on 2 different lines, what a luxury that we have right now on this team while those guys are firing on all cylinders. And even when Jack is slumping off a bit, he is still creating all those plays. Same with Bratt. I mean, his skating, edge work, all of it, just, mwah. Yeah, you love to see it. There's not anything really to critique about his game right now. He's putting the puck in the net. He is setting up plays. He is playing defensively well. He is doing literally all of it. And it doesn't even matter who his line mates are. He started off with Jack and was a world beater. Got moved down to try and drive the second line. Second line starts producing. Nico gets hurt. You're not putting him with a fourth line center and playing Mikey McLeod up there with Palat. Two guys that are not putting the puck in the net. Bratt still drives offense and is setting up crazy plays. Shout out to Mikey and Palat, though, setting up a lot of chaos in front of the net on Bratt's first goal. It's really why it happened, so you do love to see that. But all that being said, first period still wasn't that great. If you look at the actual play driving numbers there, it was actually our worst period of the 3, no surprise. wasn't horrific by any means, but you still would love to see, after scoring that first goal, us really put our foot on the pedal. But we didn't really do that. Instead, we did end up giving up a goal, and it wasn't just we were dominating and had one blunder and gave up the net. We were bleeding some chances against as well there in the first. Really shored that up in the second and third 5-on-5. I know we had a lot of penalties, a lot of penalty killing time. I'll get into that. But the first 5-on-5 was okay, not ideal by any means. Now about that goal against, we know it. Maroon gets around. Smith again kind of give up a. It wasn't really a breakaway. His stick was tied up completely until the last second. He was getting hounded, but then he has the clear shot. I mean, he was on the wrong, or Maroon, by his point of view, was on the right side of the defense. Our defenders are on the wrong side of him, where he has a clean look at the net. And so, can you really put that on VTech? It wasn't a great shot, but it's just such an awkward play of seeing where the release point's going to be. Very hard to give your goalie a lot of crap on that when, again, there is no defender between the puck shooter and the net. So, give it up, lose the lead, 1-1 tie. But I kind of was talking about this in my one chat, and I feel like Smith and Luke are actually not that horrendous at in-zone defense. Now, they're not great, but they are more than sufficient when actually trying to prevent setups, getting behind the net and digging out plays, transitioning it out of the zone. But where they seem to have given up multiple goals each now, more so on Smith here than Luke, because Luke makes up for it in spades in the offensive zone, right? Lindy kind of touched on this, where you'll give up some stuff defensively if they are helping you out offensively, and Luke does that phenomenally. I mean, gosh, to ramble about Luke here for a second, he's actually straight up, I think, Calder favorite right now. He is third in defensive scoring, with only a couple of forwards ahead of him. Less game played than one of them, same game as the other. He's ahead of Connor Bedard. He is getting second most ice time, which is not too much of a surprise for a defenseman. Connor Bedard is actually getting more, but no surprise there either. Does he actually keep up the scoring pace while Bedard is having a slow start? I mean, I'm not going to rip apart a rookie forward that basically has to drive his entire team offense on his back and is getting every tough matchup you can get against every team he can. Bedard's probably still the favorite. He just has the narrative going for him. And then you look at competition and what he's working with on the ice. Not too hard to argue for him, but Luke's looking fantastic. And everyone said Luke always had an argument in this Calder race. It was just, would he get top power play time? A lot of us didn't think so with Dougie here. But yeah, I mean, we're not changing those power play units. So he is going to keep cooking with Jack. He is going to keep putting up a ton of points on that power play. Might have that use as a detractor against him. But really, when you have a team with Dougie and Luke is still getting the top power play time over him, that's just a feather in the cap for Luke, in my opinion. So if he can shore up the defense a bit, maybe that just involves Miller getting healthy and Smith not being his line mate. But yeah, Luke is looking fantastic. Maybe on this 3-day break here, I might make a Luke for Calder video, really digging into the numbers of all the other guys there in the convo. And but yeah, that might make that at some point, I'm sure, this season. We'll see exactly when that ends up coming. Now for the second period, it was much better. Second and third looked fantastic. Now, we did give up the power play goal against right at the very start, but I mean, it was very broken play, right? It was right off the face-off, shot to the front, hits the body, trickles right perfectly to the Wild defender. VTech was in position to stop the shot, gets deflected, goes right to the guy, open net, puck in. What are you going to do? And again, that was a penalty kill goal against. I kind of said it in the preview. Minnesota's power play, and you saw it in action here. They get chances. They dominate in the zone. I was saying it was very surprising where their team was actually at in conversion rate on the power play. But if you look at the actual chances generated, they're good. They stick in the zone. They have some deadly guys out there, lots of skill and stuff. It gives you a heart attack when you're watching, and especially when you give them that many chances to do so. So shout out to the PK unit. Yeah, they gave up the one in the second, but besides that our penalty kill kept us in this one for sure. It was the entire reason we probably ended up winning this game. So yeah, absolutely love to see that. From there, we just basically took over. Give me 1 second here. Gonna mute this, as I don't know if that's coming through on your guys' end, but my apologies. And we're back. So from there, we really took over the game, especially 5-on-5. Power play continued to cook. We end up tying the game. off of the beautiful feed there from Jack to Luke to Timo. The Timo feed over to Foley was absolutely fantastic. Yes, to Foley. And bangs right into the net. I mean, that was left, middle, far right, across the ice to the far side of the net, tap and play. You have the goalie can't set at all. I mean, just bouncing back and forth. That many goalies are not making that save, if any, outside of whatever 10% of the time maybe they do make that save getting over if they read it well, but. That's beautiful stuff. You love to see it. Power play continues to cook. Jack with the Danico tertiary assist. Luke secondary, getting 2 more in this game. Timo continues to cook on the power play. Does have his 5-on-5 struggles, but not bad. It's just he's not dominating, right? Again, the Jack line at 5-on-5 wasn't cooking people, getting 60-70% expected goal share or Corsi and every other advanced analytic, but looking good. He was all right, didn't take over play. He had the one where he was serving the box for the too many men penalty and came out of the box, ends up breaking up in the defensive zone and transitioning it out. Got a decent shot attempt up ice. You probably would have liked him to be able to drive a bit more to the net there, but it was, good to see another 5-on-5 type scenario where he looked okay, but is still ramping up. But I've said it earlier on, I'm giving 15, 20 games before I really start judging guys' full games, and we're at 8. We're doing not even at the absolute minimum of 10 games segment to really try and get an idea of where guys are at. But if our power play is going to keep cooking like this, the 5-on-5 is going to get there, especially as Timo and Nico especially comes back into the fold. Other thing to really touch on in this game, Eric Holla makes it 3-2, basically right after that, off of a goal that Marc-Andre Fleury probably should have had. That's probably one that we ripped VTech on, but very weird puck rolling type shot. I believe it might have deflected off the defenseman, although I'm not sure. I think Danico said it did, but I'm not 100% on that one. But very beautiful, right under the bar type shot. But when you're that far away, it's just a save you want your goalie to make. But I said in the preview, Minnesota's goalies, both of them, have been struggling a lot. And you kind of saw it there on that goal where you want them to make the miraculous save. They don't. It goes in. And so we're winning 3-2. In the second, I don't think there was too much else. Power play cooked, penalty kill cooked. We get those beautiful goal there off Holla to give us the lead. 5-on-5, we were generating chances. Each of the lines looked mostly decent. Again, the Holtz line did not get too much time on ice. And you really liked Brat's play. VTech was fantastic in this one. I thought he made a lot of great saves. He still is technically negative goal saved above expected on the whole for the season, but I've been saying VTech's been fine. He has another on the penalty kill, at least. When he was our best player on the penalty kill, probably completely hemmed in the zone. Guys were tired. Lots of shots got through. He made the amazing end of game save against Kaprizov on the 6-on-4 with the pulled goalie, and so yeah. Would you have possibly liked one of those? Maybe especially the third one that came in the third period there back? Yeah, maybe. But, we left the guy open in front by himself. He's right in the slot, very net front. Puck comes from behind the net out front. Those are very hard on the goalie to save. I'm probably going to be called a goalie apologist at some point, as I seem to be doing a lot of defending of our goalies. But, yeah, I will critique them. I've given him issues on some of the like 1 goal per game really, but I'm also going to defend the ones that I don't think are that egregious. Yeesh. And so yeah, he's doing what we need. Average. Just be average, and we will outscore most of our problems, and that's what we continue to do. Yes, do you want or need to have to score 4 or 5 every game to win? No. Would I like to win a game without ever giving up the lead, score the first goal, and just, have a multi-goal lead from start to finish and just not be at the edge of my seat having a heart attack the whole time? Yes, obviously. I would. Please give me multiple of those games. It would be great, but just not yet so far this season. Now, some more critiques. Dawson Mercer got a lot of ice, and he does seem to be absolutely not just snake bitten, but like gripping the stick really hard in the offensive zone. That 2-on-0 with Lazar, I think Lazard gave it over to Mercer too quick, and then Mercer passed it back too quick and not setting up Lazar for a nice shot. Mercer probably should take that shot or at least fake it or drift out to the side a little bit more. I also understand Lazar not going back to Mercer again, doing like a tic-tac-toe type play because the Wild defender at that point did get back and had the stick in the lane, so he did have to go with that awful backhanded shove shot that Mercer kind of left him on, so not great there. Also with the empty net, both of them had chances. Mercer with the best chance of he just took the extra time to settle the puck, and then a stick got in the lane and it got blocked. Probably just needs to try and one-time that. Even with the arc position, there's no goalie there. At least get a shot towards net, as that really didn't happen. But the Lazar falling to the ice, maybe you can say the arm got into his side and yanked him down. But I would have been upset if that was called against us, to be honest. I think it would have been a fairly weak call. In live, I was definitely thinking, oh, that's a penalty. What are you doing? But on the replay, it really wasn't that bad. So yeah, I'm not sure there's too much else in this one. Toffoli continues to just be in the right spot at the right time and score. He doesn't drive much, but you don't need him to. He does make some nice plays. He had the one where he hit the net off of a beautiful Jack feed that you really would have wanted to go in, so Jack would have actually gotten an actual point. But he scored the one goal, hits another post. You cannot be upset with Toffoli's play. But again, he's not the play driver 5-on-5, but he is being the benefactor and benefiting from being on Jack Hughes' line, putting the puck in the net. And so that's all we really need him to do. But it seems like when Jack is getting double teamed and is not the guy fully taking over, you need Timo to be that guy as the secondary, because Toffoli is not. So we would like to see Timo pick up the plate a little bit, but cooking enough on the power play that he's producing. So not going to rip him apart too much, right? Yes, he is the highest paid forward on the team, but brand new-ish. I mean, he's played how many regular season games with the team? It's not many. Maybe he's at 15, actually, but if we're talking just the season, right? 8 in. So we'll see how that continues to develop. Something to keep an eye on. But as long as we're winning, what is this, 50 win pace, 110 points, actually a little bit more than I think it's like 111 point pace. You take that. You're going to like that play. So we went in regulation. We got 3 days off. We'll see what practices look like. Obviously, we'll have updates. Hopefully something with Nico. Then we're right back in Minnesota. 8 o'clock game, I believe. And then, like I said, depending on practices, what kind of break we get, I might do a deep dive on a Luke for Calder, or I might do a deep dive on the team as a whole, especially the penalty kill, just kind of see what stats jump out at me, what I find intriguing and interesting. I think that's really going to do it for this one. I don't think there was anyone else I really need to shout out. Bastian had a fairly quiet game. Tierney he had the penalty, but it was a goal-saving penalty. You love to see that with the back check on Rossi. Palat, he's been, again, he's not producing like a 6 million regular season guy, but he's there for the leadership, locker room stuff in the playoffs. So I'm not going to talk that one to death. We've kind of touched that talking point a million times. And yeah, I think that does it for this one, guys. So I will see you tomorrow morning, as always and forever. Let's go Devils.